Alright y'all, what's good homies and homettes? It's your boy RC here. Sorry about the other live stream. That was acting up. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully this one does better. I have no clue what's going on, but hopefully y'all enjoyed this live stream. Let's see. Just retiling this. And guys, the last live stream completely cut me off while I was talking about Bobby Lashley's push. But what I was saying before is that, hey, Edwin Reacts 3, welcome to the stream, how you doing? But a point that Hannah Finney brought out in the last live stream, and that DZ brought out in the last live stream, was why bring Bobby Lashley back? And what I was saying about that before I got cut off was that Bobby Lashley had a hell of a run in Impact Wrestling before he left. He had all the titles at once. He was a 4-time Impact Wrestling World Champion. He was the first 4-time African American heavyweight world champion in Impact Wrestling. He had the Impact Wrestling World title, the X Division title, the Impact Grand Championship right before he left Impact Wrestling. Why bring him back to WWE? I guess WWE may Lashley offer he couldn't refuse. More money, more promises. And they said that he was promised, Hannah and DZ said he was promised a match against Brock Lesnar. He has not had that match yet. And if I was Lashley, I would raise all types of hell through WWE corporate and during shows until I got a match against Brock Lesnar. Because, and here's a match I would love to see: Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley for the WWE Universal title. Bobby Lashley is more than capable of being in a match like that and being Universal Champion. I feel like they only signed him back to WWE so Impact Wrestling couldn't sign him to a more lucrative deal, maybe. Of course, it's going to be less paying what WWE can offer, because WWE can offer him any type of cash. But they signed Bobby Lashley away from Impact Wrestling so Impact Wrestling couldn't sign him. And I really felt that's what they did, because as soon as they brought Bobby Lashley back, look at how they booked him. He basically became a jobber to Bobby Lashley. He went into a feud as soon as he came back to WWE. The night after WrestleMania, I think, he went directly into a feud with Elias, which at the time was not a good feud to get into. That was a shitty feud in my opinion. I don't even know what was ever the conclusion of that feud. He was put into a feud with Sami Zayn after a feud with Elias failed, and the feud with Sami Zayn failed too. I mean, like, it gave us one of the worst segments in Monday Night Raw history. 3 men cosplaying as Bobby Lashley's sisters, and I'm sure his sisters look twice as good as those guys. I'm just saying. But it gave us one of the worst segments in Raw history. And Bobby Lashley, I don't know, you know? The only thing Bobby Lashley really got going for him is him just being an ultimate badass and destroyer that he's doing now on Raw. And him having Leo Rush as a manager. Leo Rush, that's another story for another time, y'all, but the buns on Leo Rush. It's just something. But that's whole nother live stream or situation for another time. But seriously though, Bobby Lashley should be treated the right way. He really should. They're absolutely doing nothing with him. Hey Fancy, hey Hannah, welcome to the stream. Hey Hannah S, welcome to the stream. And Hannah Finney, welcome back. Exactly. Hannah Finney, you are absolutely right. You know what? They had the chance to do it. They could have put Bobby Lashley in a match with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal title at some point. They could have put all 3 of them in a match for the Universal title, or put all 3 of them plus Braun Strowman in a fatal 4-way match for the Universal title. That's something that the fans would have loved to see. And WWE's just doing things. wrong. I feel like they really haven't got anything right other than the WWE Evolution pay-per-view. I feel like that's the only thing that they've gotten right. Bobby Roode's still with WWE. You know what? I'm not even gonna say that. I know he's still with WWE, but Bobby Roode as a face is good because he could be a good face when he wants to be. You know, he could be a good face when booked right. I should say, not when he want to be, but when booked right. But he is the perfect heel when booked right. Now, WWE is not booking. WWE's treatment of former Impact Wrestling stars and former Ring of Honor stars is just crazy. Well, their treatment of some of them, I'll say that, because they treat AJ Styles and they treat Samoa Joe like they're gold almost. But a lot of them are just treated bad, like Bobby Roode, one of the best heels in Impact Wrestling. Look how he's getting jobbed out and used on SmackDown. Who's another good name? Who's another good name? Eric Young. What happened to Eric Young? He has Sanity. Like, he has Sanity as his what faction or group. And where are they at? Let's see, Sanity. Let me see. Are they even like exactly? I don't even know what's going on with Sanity, to be honest, because like, you know, Eric Young, Bobby Roode, a lot of people, Eric Young and Bobby Roode really should be treated better along with Bobby Lashley. I just feel like they're not being used the way they should. They're not being used the way they should. They actually, I said Bobby Lashley, Bobby Roode and Eric Young did better when it was in NXT, to be honest. And Bobby Lashley did better when he was in Impact Wrestling. I mean, that's just a fact. And same way, I don't know what's going on with EC3 right now, but I feel like he did way better after his first horrible run as Derek Bateman in NXT. When he went to Impact Wrestling and they brought him in as the nephew of Dixie Carter, I mean, that was already a push right there. And you knew, once you said he was the nephew of Dixie Carter, you knew he was getting pushed. And he had one of the best runs in Impact Wrestling history. I feel like one of the best runs. And then the way they used him towards the end was kind of sucky. And then when he went back to WWE, I don't know what's going on with EC3 in NXT right now, because I really don't watch NXT. I'll be honest, I'll be blunt and point blank. I don't watch NXT. Why? Just never really have the time to, because I'm busy with a lot of other stuff. But hopefully they're using him well in NXT. Hopefully. And as far as the authors of pain go, because I seen your um comment fantasy. As far as the authors of pain go, them having Paul Elrig in their corner was way better than having Rockstar Spud in their corner. Rockstar Spud is not even remotely menacing at all. Like, when he was Dixie Carter's personal bodyguard, he looked. I have seen more people look more menacing than Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud looks like he cannot hurt a fly. He really does. Like, when he was Dixie Carter's personal bodyguard, I really just cringed at that. I held my face down into my palm in disappointment for him, because he just, why? Just why? Come on now. But him as the Authors of Pain's manager, nope, that's a huge step down from having Paul Elric as your manager. Having Paul Elric as your manager is already what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Already a compliment in itself, because Paul Elric, this is the guy that led the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, whatever you want to call them, as their manager during most of their career. And having him as your manager, I mean, that's one of the best things you could have in professional wrestling, is Paul Elric as your manager. But having Rockstar Spud as your manager is a huge step down. He should be general manager of 205 like live like he was supposed to be. I don't know why they did that. I don't know who was the creative person behind that. But it was just awful. Just awful booking on their part, awful planning, awful execution, I feel like. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, fancy. If EC3's feuding with Adam Cole, then that's a great rivalry for NXT. That's a great rivalry anywhere, actually, to be honest. Um, and Hannah S. Let me see. I don't. Oh, okay. Are you still in the stream? Because I thought you put a comment down. I thought I didn't see your comment. If I didn't see a comment from you, I'm sorry. But let's see. Somebody sent me a message. I'm sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. But I think the authors of Pain beside pay-per-views, they stay in Florida. Maybe Paul didn't want to travel states. True. Now, see, that's understandable, especially with Paul Elric being up in age, and like, you know, when you start getting up in age, you don't really want to travel much. Like, because Paul Elric, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he's 65 years old. He's like 5 years away from being 70. So, I think now is the perfect time for him maybe to start like slowing down as being a manager. But you know what? You know what? They could have found a suitable replacement. Because Paul Elric is still signed with WWE. They say he's an American professional wrestling manager, currently signed with WWE to a Legends contract. So he's a professional wrestler and dog musher, which is pretty cool actually. But still, if it's time for him to start slowing down his travels, they still could have found a suitable replacement for the Authors of Pain having a manager. I don't know who it would be, but they could have still found a better replacement. I mean, because Rockstar Spud is just not cutting the mustard. He really isn't. Oh, okay, Fantasy. So Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano is now heel. Okay. I guess all those battles with Tommaso Ciampa kind of turned him crazy. Kind of turned him a little loony. But yeah. True, Hannah. True. Having Akam and Razor as like wrestling as the Authors of Pain, and then having Rockstar Spud as their manager, it's like having two older brothers and a younger one. It's like having that younger brother that you just, you know, have to have as the third wheel when you go somewhere. That's basically what that's like. I'm just saying. And then the name they gave Rockstar Spud when came WWE, Drake Maverick. That sounds like the most generic WWE 2K created name ever. Drake freaking Maverick. Drake Maverick sounds like a prickish name, I will say that. Drake Maverick. You have got to be kidding me. They could have done better. Rockstar Spud don't even look like a Drake Maverick. You really don't. That's just awful. Why? Like WWE's just not booking people right. They don't even give much explanation to it no more either. I mean, in the Attitude Era, when they even booked people questionably, they still gave a reasonable explanation or a somewhat believable explanation as to why they booked that person a certain way. Or, I mean, now they just don't care. They're just like, oh, well, you're going to be with this team 1 week, or you're going to be face 1 week, and you're going to be heel next week, and you're going to turn on this team next week. Like, they just don't care. Like, come on now, WWE. Can you do better? Like, seriously. Impact Wrestling, people can sugarcoat things and shit on Impact Wrestling all day and say, oh, Impact Wrestling don't cut it. Yeah, Impact Wrestling may not have a good budget like WWE or WCW did, but Impact Wrestling this year, this has been the best year for Impact Wrestling that they've had within the last maybe couple years, I think, because Impact Wrestling had one of the best years. I think last time was when they had the Aces and Eights in Impact Wrestling. That's one of the last times they had a good year, I think. And then for a long time after that, was just watching a company go slowly downhill like a sinking ship, like watching a ship just rise up and then sink. But before it's like it stopped and then slowly going back down because of Scott D'Amore and Don Callis and Ed Norholm. What they've been doing with Impact Wrestling over the last year and a half, I'd say, is slowly rebuilding and rebranding the brand into something that's marketable, profitable, and something that people want to see. And yeah, Hannah. Yeah, I feel like when Impact Wrestling lost AJ Styles, it went downhill for a bit. I'll say for a bit because after that they had EC3 to rely on, and they still had Jeff Hardy. Yeah, they had Jeff Hardy, and then after EC3 left, I think the Broken Hardys were around, and that kept TNA going for a while. And then when they lost the Hardys, they started going downhill a bit. But I feel like after that, once they started restructuring and rebranding, bringing people in like the new LAX, like Ortiz and what's the other guy's name? Ortiz and Santana. They brought Conan back. They brought Hernandez and Homicide back, and they paired him with Eddie Kingston. They brought in OVE. They brought in Pentagon Jr. Ray Phoenix. They brought in Johnny Mundo. They brought back Austin Aries, only for him to just be Austin Aries, which is be prickish and cost himself a job. Which, speaking of Austin Aries, this is the second time he's been fired from a big wrestling promotion in the last year and a half. He was fired for WWE last year, I think, because of his backstage attitude. And then after he just pulled that Bound for Glory, I'm pretty sure he's all but fired. I'm pretty sure he might be blacklisted. I don't know. But Austin Aries' attitude is just, from what people say and from what he displayed at Bound for Glory, I don't know if it was a work or whatever, but if it wasn't a work, then he's all but fired. And let's see, Fancy, I'm sorry, I can just go and run my mouth sometimes if I'm really was it into what I'm saying, you know. RVD's having a comedy show from where I'm at sometime this weekend. We'll do a meet and greet after his show. Oh, that's cool, Fancy, that's cool. RVD's doing comedy now. That's what's up. It's great to see him doing something other than wrestling. I mean, I know he loves wrestling. I know he's passionate about it. But it's great to see him doing something else. I mean, if he's passionate about doing comedy and everything too, then I say go for it. But okay, how's my live stream doing, y'all? I don't see where it's acting up or anything. But RVD is an amazing performer, and you know what, RVD was a great wrestler in his time too. When RVD was in his prime, he was a hell of a wrestler, having great matches, like the match between him and Jeff Hardy at what was it, WWF Invasion 2001. Watch the highlights from that match and you'll see what I mean. RVD versus Jeff Hardy at what was it, Invasion 2001. That match was great. That match, that feud with Jeff Hardy, yeah, it was for a hardcore title, WWF hardcore title at Invasion. Yeah, that was one of the best matches on a card, actually. I'm not even one of the best matches, the best match of the card, I feel like. Um, RVD, Eddie Guerrero, and Stevie Richards. I'm just playing. You said Chris Benoit. We'll acknowledge Chris Benoit. We will acknowledge him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. RVD seems to be slowing down. He's getting up there in age. RVD's got a beer belly, and he's only in his mid-40s, I think. Shawn Michaels is almost pushing 50. He still looks in better shape than Rob Van Dam. And I'm like, okay, he looks in better shape than RVD. Yeah, RVD is 47. RVD's about to turn 48 in like less than 2 months. And Shawn Michaels is pushing 40. I mean 50. Shawn Michaels is 53 years old. He is the same age as The Undertaker. I didn't know Shawn Michaels was 53. And Shawn Michaels looks in better shape than Rob Van Dam. I'm like, for a guy that had a broken back for like 4 years, Shawn Michaels can still go in the ring given a chance. I mean, like, come on now. Who's Matt Riddle? I'm sorry, I don't know who this Matt Riddle is that y'all are talking about. Matt Riddle. Let me look him up real quick. Oh, y'all talking about this guy. WWE's bringing a lot of former MMA fighters, aren't they? They are just bringing in a lot of former, like, oh, so he did start wrestling. Okay, he started wrestling in 2014. All right, so he's here training. Okay. True. And you know, Hannah, WWE's really pushing a wellness policy. I think in the 11 years since the Chris Benoit murder suicide, I think they've taken the wellness policy like very seriously, more seriously than they did. Because I'm pretty sure RVD was smoking weed like when he was in WWE, and he was still doing his thing. But then I remember he got busted after he won the WWE and ECW world title. He got busted with Sabu for having weed and like pills or whatever in the trunk of his car, just probably weed. But oh no, fancy. I found out who you all was talking about, but I don't really remember Matt Riddle from UFC because I was watching UFC like around. I started watching UFC really like getting into it after he left because I started watching around 2013, 2014. So, because I know about Daniel Cormier and Alistair Overeem and like Brock Lesnar and CM Punk and like what is it Chuck Liddell and like John Jones and like different UFC fighters like that. So I really like been getting into that off and on too, but that's a whole nother topic or story for another time. But no, I wasn't watching when Matt Riddle was in UFC. Yeah, yeah. So Hannah, yeah, that would definitely be an issue. Definitely be an issue if he'd be smoking weed, and yeah, because WWE, even if it's weed smoke, I mean, WWE just takes a lot of things seriously, you know. Hmm. I forgot this was coming on. I love me some good times. I'm not gonna have it up real loud because of possibly copyright or whatever. But I want to have it up so where at least I can hear it. I think what makes him stand out is the fact that he wrestles barefoot with his Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Yeah, he wrestles barefoot. He kind of reminds you of the Von Erich brothers, the way he like wrestles around barefoot, and then he incorporates his jiu-jitsu, and yeah, he kind of reminds you probably of the Von Erichs. let's see. Um, let's see. Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. Hannah. They fired Eva Marie because she forgot to tell a company the doctor prescribed meds. I thought they just fired Eva Marie because she was a terrible wrestler. Because when I seen Eva Marie wrestle, it was horrific. I didn't say terrific. I said horrific, like with the H. When she wrestled, I mean, like, I was trying to cheer her on and be like cheerleader for a while. I watched and tweeted, but after a while, you just kind of sit back and say, "Wow, that's just awful wrestling." Like, I mean, I, I don't know. Like, that's bad wrestling. Like, I thought Lana when she started wrestling was kind of bad, but like Eva Marie took wrestling bad to like a whole different level. Like I'm like that's just awful. Like let's see, let me see if I can add this. I don't want, but I can give y'all like a perfect example of like me. Let me see something. Let me bring this up. I don't know. No. That's awful. Hold on, y'all. Having some technical difficulties. Oh, by the way, I'm using OBS software. I don't know why that pops up when I like. Let me show y'all how awful she is when she wrestle. Look how bad the selling is. Look how bad the selling is. She's tapping. What in the world is this? You know? Look at that. What is that? What is that? Now I think at that point you're like, okay. At that point, I think you know, like that's enough. You know, like we've seen enough of Eva Marie wrestling or botching. That's just awful. How many people? I thought it was just fancy. I thought it was just Cody Rhodes that left the Bullet Club. So Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll. Wow, what? They just lost their best members of the Bullet Club. Wait a minute. Are you sure? Because I don't see anywhere about where he like left the Bullet Club at all. Well, you know, actually, let me look up this Wikipedia page real quick. I absolutely like the Elite leaves Bullet Club. The Kenny Omega leadership, the Civil War, the Elites leave Bullet Club. What is going on? Like, I'm not like, oh my. Let me see. On October 24th, which was about 7 days ago, Tony announced that he was no longer a member of Bullet Club via his official Twitter account. On October 30th, which was yesterday, on Chris Jericho's podcast, the Young Bucks confirmed that Matt Jackson confirmed that Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Maurice Girl, Nick Jackson, and Adam Page are now called simply the Elite, and they are no part of Bullet Club. So all of them are basically the Elite now. So it's like the Bullet Club splintered off and made their own group, which is the Elite. Okay, that's understandable. Okay, Fancy. Thanks for letting me know that. I appreciate that. I was kind of wondering what was going on with that. And Hannah Finney, what did you say? Eva is one of the worst. Yeah. Yeah. Hannah, I was thinking about what you said. Go watch some old World Championship Wrestling footage from like 2000 and watch some of the women wrestling. They were wrestling at Eva Marie's level, given that they only probably had maybe a few months of training, like 6 months training before they wrestled a match probably. But you'll see people like, Major Guns, you'll see Sharmell Sullivan, which is Booker T's wife, Sharmell Huffman, you'll see Tori Wilson, and you can see their fighting and their wrestling ability. But I mean, some wrestlers like Medusa, Midnight, Asia, they were wrestling, they had their moves down packed. But you'll see the way Eva Marie wrestled, it reminds you of the way the women in World Championship Wrestling wrestled. And it wasn't that good. All they really did was snap mirrors and hair pulling and a body slam or two. And maybe a diving crossbody if they had sufficient training. But yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Exactly, but back then they were supposed to be models. But you see the women wrestle World Championship Wrestling around 1999, 2000, and you see the women in WWF wrestle around the same time. WWF had people like Sable, they had Tori, not Tori Wilson, but Tori, X-Pac's Tori, Tori, Tori. They had Jacqueline, they had Luna Vachon, they had Trish Stratus and Lita. And given Trish Stratus came in 2000, maybe about 4 or 5 months later, maybe she had her first match, it was still better than an Eva Marie match. And I mean, Trish Stratus was just a quick learner along with Lita, given Lita had prior training and wrestling experience wrestling as Angelica in ECW, like the original ECW back in 98, 99. But you can tell even then, like the WWF women like tried to wrestle, they actually put on a fight or tried to. And the women in WCW were they were either supposed to be models or Nitro girls or NWO girls. And Eva Marie's wrestling ability, like, I feel like the WCW women from like 2000, they could wrestle circles around her, like Eva Marie given a chance. Eva Marie was just bad. Like, that's a whole nother stream for like another like time, because trying to explain Eva Marie's wrestling abilities, well, what amount of ability she has compared to a lack of ability she has should be saved for another live stream. But what was you saying, Fancy? I'm sorry, I got off topic of Bullet Club because of Eva Marie. Like, that gave me a little mini headache talking about Eva Marie. But Fancy, who's left in Bullet Club now? Jay White, Tamatonga, Bad Luck Bell, Tangaloa, and some others. Okay, that's cool. Nicole Bass. Does she even wrestle? You know what? If Brian Kendrick cannot work magic with you, Hannah, then you can't wrestle. If he can't work magic with you and try and make you a wrestler, then you cannot wrestle. Just like this thing with, like, what is it that, it was somebody's live stream that I was watching where they did like a review of the Renegade's career. I think it was Brian Zane or one of them. He said, if Arn Anderson cannot work magic with you, then you're a lost cause. It was a YouTube channel. I forget. I really forget. That reviewed the Bash at the Beach pay-per-view, and they was talking about the Arn Anderson Renegade match for a TV title. And it was like, if Arn Anderson can't work magic with you, then you are screwed. Same thing with Eva Marie. If you get trained by Brian Kendrick, who's probably one of the best half-line cruiserweights that I've seen in a long time, one of the best technical cruiserweight wrestlers that I've seen in a long time other than Jamie Noble, if he trains you and he can't get you to wrestle your best, then if he can't work magic with you, then you're just a lost cause. And Eva Marie was a lost cause. Fancy, yeah, I know Nicole Bass passed away last year. I was actually surprised when she passed away, actually. And yeah, Nicole Bass was like, let's see, pretty strong woman, big strong woman. That's just sad. Cause Nicole Bass, let me see. Um, um, okay, I was getting ready to say, cause I don't remember her wrestling much. So, but yeah, I heard about what happened to Nicole Bass. I was really sad when I heard about what happened to Nicole Bass. I was. Who wants Eva Marie to come back? Oh yeah, Fancy. I remember that. I remember where Harvey Wippleman pretended to be Harvina to win the women's title. I remember that, and that actually worked for a while. Well, it worked in storyline for a while. I think. Let me see. Harvey Wippleman. Whatever happened to Harvey Wippleman? Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Scroll down. Um. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. The win made him the first man to hold the women's title, the lost title following day to Jacqueline in a match that lasted under a minute. Yeah. Yeah, because he won the women's title from the Cat, just as her being in the Lumberjill Snow Bunny match. Jesus. Reading that on Wikipedia, then think of how far women had came within the past almost 20 years since then. I'm so glad that the women are actually being put in the forefront with storylines. Because if they was having snow bunny matches now, do you know how the crowd would be? They'll be like equality, women's rights, equality. Like, yeah. I'm glad that they put the women in the forefront now. Mm, 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 mm. I remember that Good Housekeeping match that Jeff Jarrett and China had. That Good Housekeeping match, wasn't that one of the last matches that Jeff Jarrett wrestled before going to World Championship Wrestling in late '99? I remember that match. Um, I watched it on WWE Network. So yeah. Or I watched it through some other website that somebody, or I probably borrowed a friend's WWE Network account. I don't know. But yeah. And it's kind of sad to think that if China and Triple H were to be married, maybe Triple H wouldn't be where he is career wise today. Triple H, that whole Triple H China controversy is just crazy because we probably will never know like the real details behind it. But Triple H strategically, literally slept his way up the ladder in WWE. And and he's the COO of WWE. That should rightfully be Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon being the COO of the company, because he is a true-blooded McMahon. Came from Vince McMahon's seed. I'm just saying, Triple H is the COO. It's like Shane McMahon is like the Jan Brady. For anybody who watched the Brady Bunch, y'all know where I'm going with this. Jan Brady was the middle child, and she just got like overthrown because Marsha was like, oh, everybody loved Marsha. Jan was like the Meg Griffin. Okay, let me put it like this. If y'all know Brady Bunch, I'm not going to explain it. But Shane McMahon is like the Meg Griffin of the McMahon family. Let me just put it like that. And y'all, I'm pretty sure all y'all watch Family Guy, so y'all know what I'm talking about. Shane McMahon is like the Meg Griffin of the McMahon family. And that's just sad. That is just absolutely sad. But yeah, it is kind of sad to think if Triple H had of, been with Stephanie McMahon, where would his career be right now? Would he be in Ring of Honor? Would he be in Impact Wrestling? Would he be wrestling on the indie circuit during weekends? Or maybe he would probably have a backstage position with WWE. Maybe not at the position he has now, but he would have a backstage position with the company. You never know. Exactly, Hannah. Shane McMahon is the oldest McMahon. He's like, what, 49, approaching 50? And Shane McMahon is being treated like the middle child. Shane McMahon is 48 years old. He is 48 years old. And Stephanie McMahon is like 39, I think. And, like, Stephanie McMahon is 42. I did not know that. I thought she was 39, or did I not read her Wikipedia right? Because I could have swore her Wikipedia page said that she was born in 79. So maybe I read it wrong. But, or maybe I read it like 3 years ago. I don't know. But she's 42. Shane's 48. He's the oldest McMahon. And he's treated like the middle child. He's like the Meg Griffin of the McMahon family. That's just awful. Thoughts on WrestleMania 2000? It was an alright pay-per-view, but too many multi-man matches, as if it were like Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view. True. Fantasy. I didn't start watching wrestling, like, I'll be honest, I didn't really like start getting into it like at the tail end of the Invasion angle, because this room I'm in right now, this used to be my aunt's room, and I can remember the first time I watched WWF. I can actually remember it. Like, if I turn the camera around, this, let me see, this wall right here, I'm trying to make sure I don't, like, because I'm literally like in like a very little long shirt, like, I'm not dressed to like, but this wall right here where the door is, this wall right here is where I hear her TV. And I remember one of the first matches I seen on WWF TV, like this was like at the tail end of the Monday Night Wars. This was during the Invasion angle, and I remember one of the first wrestlers I seen on that screen where the TV was right there. One of the first wrestlers I seen was the X-Pac, and I think maybe he was facing against Jeff Hardy or Billy Kid, and then a match on SmackDown, or it could have been Raw, probably SmackDown, because I do remember the fifth stage. But yeah, I started watching wrestling in 2001, but I did see WrestleMania 2000 like through a website or something, and I read it on Wikipedia, and the list of matches they had for WrestleMania 2000 was just too much. Like, WrestleMania 2000, not the video game, the show. Thank you, Wikipedia. Here's the matches they had. I will list them down. Match number 1, Big Boss Man Bull Buchanan defeated the Godfather and D'Lo Brown with Ice-T in their corner. That was the first match, which was a tag match. Hardcore Holly won the match by defeating Crash Holly. That was the second match of the night. Hardcore Holly won the Hardcore title by last defeating Crash Holly in a Hardcore Battle Royal. That was the second match of the night. Third match of the night, TNA, not Impact Wrestling, Test and Albert with Trish Stratus defeated Head Cheese, also known as Steve Blackman, and tag match. First 3 matches you have on your card, on your match card, is tag team match. Hardcore Battle Royal, tag team match. And that was just alone within the first 45 minutes of the show, I'm sure. And then you have a triangle ladder match for WWF Tag Team Championships, which lasted 22 minutes 30 seconds. Then you have a women's match, Terry Reynolds defeating the Cat. Then you have another one, another tag match after one singles match. And it was a 6-person Aaron tag team match. Chyna and Too Cool defeated the Radicals in a 6-person tag team match. This is your fourth tag team match of the night. And then the 5th one is a 2-fall triple threat match for the no it's not WrestleMania 2000. Okay, that was a 2-fall triple threat match. Then another tag team match, Ken Rikishi defeated Degeneration X, then a fatal 4-way. It was just too many overbooked matches at WrestleMania 2000. Let's put it like that. That's just awful. Oh, okay, Fancy. That's cool. Nah, I know. Fancy. I remember Chris Jericho was supposed to be in the main event. And he was upset because he wasn't in the main event because WWE at the time didn't think he was right for the main event scene. And then when he won the WWF title for like all but half an hour almost in 2000, that was because Chris Jericho said if he didn't win the WWF title, he threatened to leave and go back to WCW. And by 2000, with the way WCW was pushing superstars, I think that could have been one of the worst decisions that Jericho made. So I'm glad WWF put the title on him for just that half an hour to fuel his ego. Because who knows, if they didn't do that, what would happen with Chris Jericho, you know? But I remember Chris Jericho going on to win the Undisputed title in 2001. Then he held it for a good little spell, even though that first time he has the credit saying he was the first ever WWF Undisputed Champion, but his title run will be not really that. I don't think it'll be that remembered because mainly when he was Undisputed Champion from the time of January to March, I would say he was more of a third wheel to the Stephanie McMahon Triple H feud that was going on, if I remember correctly. Because I do remember watching Stephanie McMahon and Triple H take their vows, like on WWF TV in 2002. I do remember that. I remember Triple H calling Stephanie a no good lying bitch. Like the way he said with so much force and enthusiasm. I remember this. I play it back sometimes in my head when I think of good wrestling angles, and I play it back in my head like I seen it yesterday. And Chris Jericho is like a third wheel to that entire feud, I feel like. Exactly, Fancy. Jericho really didn't do much as the Undisputed Champion. He walked Triple H's dog. Yeah, basically, he was just put on a back burner, I feel like. But, Jericho still has that, like, where he could say that he was the first ever Undisputed Champion. Like, he actually has where he could say that he was. Let's see, I'm just checking Messenger real quick. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Just checking a message that a friend sent me. Let's see. I don't mean to get sidetracked. My fault, y'all. Let's see. No, let me just keep my phone plugged in. Let's see, is it charged all the way? I can unplug my phone and just unplug it. I'm just playing, y'all, and just have it right here. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Just talking for old middle school, high school friend, a good friend of mine. But back to what we were saying about WWE and the undisputed title. Chris Jericho didn't do much with it. I feel like the first real undisputed champion, like the one that actually had a purpose and storyline, I could say was The Undertaker. Because if we look at the history of the WWF undisputed title, the first four champions were, let's see, Sugar Tits. Let's see. 2001, Chris Jericho was the first undisputed champion. Triple H was the second. Hulk Hogan was the third, and The Undertaker was the fourth. The feud that Undertaker and The Rock had for that undisputed title was decent. The Rock was the fifth undisputed champion, and Brock Lesnar had it from August 25th to November 17th when Big Show defeated him at Survivor Series, which I think was the end of Brock Lesnar's undefeated streak in the company, minus dark show matches, like his matches on main roster. I think the match against Big Show was his first loss. But yeah. The first real credible undisputed champion, though, I still would say was The Undertaker. And then the second most credible undisputed champion was Brock Lesnar. Like in that 2001 to 2002 time frame. Because the title had changed hands like, from time, like the Undisputed Championship from that time. Chris Jericho, Triple H, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Big Show from December 9th of 2001 to November 17th of 2002. That title changed hands 7 times. And out of those 7 times, Undertaker and Brock Lesnar was the most credible champions. And then, actually a year and some days after, Kurt Angle won the title December 15, 2002 at Armageddon, which was pretty crazy. But yeah. I mean, it's something to see how time flies, though. It feels like it was just yesterday in some cases, you know? But yeah, Jericho really didn't do much as Undisputed Champion. But what time is this? Almost 12, almost 1 o'clock, y'all. I'm gonna get ready to wrap this live stream up. It was a pleasure talking with y'all, giving my thoughts and opinions on what I think is going on with WWE. I will let y'all know this now. I will not be watching WWE Crown Jewel, just for a simple fact of everything that's been going on with it. And like things going on in the real world. Let's just say the things that are going on in the real world, and WWE still doing Crown Jewel despite that, is wrong in my opinion. And John Cena and Daniel Bryan decided to pull out a pay-per-view, and I support them making that decision because I agree. That's their beliefs, that's mine. I agree. I will not be watching Crown Jewel Friday. As far as I'm concerned, WWE Evolution was the last pay-per-view until Survivor Series, or whatever pay-per-view comes before Survivor Series, minus Crown Jewel. As far as I'm concerned, Crown Jewel did not exist. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Until next time, much love, stay cool, y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Peace.